For flight.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dracon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
America has launched. And so rises a new era of American spaceflight, and with it the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream. 20 seconds into flight, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T plus 30 seconds into this historic mission. Flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9, and look at them go.
Falcon power telemetry nominal.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket. Engine chill, that's getting the MVAC engine ready to light. That'll come at about 2:44 into flight. Right now, everything continuing to look good. Next major event coming up is going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines, stage separation, and then ignition of the second stage engine.
Falcon stage separation confirmed.
Copy 2 Alpha. MVAC ignition. Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there is that entry burn beginning. This burn lasts about 36 seconds long.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
While that entry burn continues, we're just about a minute away from SECO. We'll have a number of events all happen in rapid succession. It'll be the second engine cutoff.
Stage 1
we'll
entry
be looking
burn
for that stage 1 landing burn shortly after.
Actually, just within.
Didn't get confirmation of nominal orbital insertion.
Nominal orbital insertion.
Deploy.
And what you're seeing on your screen is a live view of our drone ship, where our first stage will be coming down. Looks like we lost that live view, but we'll wait for confirmation of that landing shortly here.
Falcon 9 first stage successfully landed.
And there you can see on your screen, Falcon 9 has landed. This is the first Falcon 9 to carry humans to orbit, so very exciting for us.
On suit donning.
You're welcome to come back on board. We're both in our suits, and we're just finishing up the procedure now.
Copy, thank you. And can I get a comp check?
Close to what you're walking around in is 14 pounds per square inch of force about on your body. And that's roughly what the Dragon capsule is also at when they're flying up.
The approach of visiting vehicles. Before we were in this point, Dragon was on a 24-hour free safe trajectory, so if we had lost control of Dragon, it would have been at least 24 hours before we moved inside. But we're now inside this approach ellipsoid. Dragon, given the go, as it was given along up until waypoint 1. And so it'll be a quick pass through. They'll go from just 400 meters directly below the International Space Station up to waypoint 1. So they're going to do pretty much a 90-degree maneuver to go from directly below station to directly in front of it. And this is always something really cool to see. So you're seeing city lights on the ground below Dragon right now as we continue to fly. We just made a pass over Japan. So those were city lights in Japan as Dragon and the station around the lower part of the Dragon spacecraft.
Here's a cool view from the station camera. You can see Dragon approaching.
We have a little over 13 and a half minutes still in this maneuver. it is really cool to get this look inside.
So the Corps letting the crew know how much prop they've worked through. Still have 2/3 of their budget left to do test maneuvers. Locking adapter, and of course any go no go pole. The ground teams have worked hard over the past probably years to come up with a set of what we call flight rules. So those are technical constraints. I think you can see a meatball and an American flag on that on the spacecraft. The NASA logo, of course, referred to as the meatball. I think there was some spirited discussion about the meatball versus the worm during ascent. And you can see those logos. That structure on the fairing structure is actually what the Super Dracos are housed in. Of course, all those are the soft capture system. So pretty wild too to see. We're so close that we're getting shadows from the station on Dragon. Wow.
And we're getting these views of Dragon's approach from two cameras that are right next to that dot at times. These cameras are being commanded by a person at the Cronus console in Mission Control Houston, and they send some very basic function commands to the camera, which it then executes automatically. And so they're continuing to follow Dragon in, so we do thank them for their diligence to give us these views of this historic moment as we are just less than 30 meters away from docking.
Right above.
I can copies all on the big loop. Go for docking.
So Doug on the spacecraft confirming their go for docking. They're going to put down their visors. Got some instructions there about the crew hands-off point that we had talked about earlier. That's a point where we don't want the crew issuing any commands to the vehicle.
For steps 3 and 4, 3 and 4 in 1.104 Crew Dracon approach and retreat monitoring.
Copy steps 3 and 4.
Next Dragon on the big loop. Our visors are down.
Copy, visors down.
Seeing that sunset, the approach has resumed. Dragon closing in. We're inside 20 meters. And yeah, that crew hands-off point should come up in about 3 minutes or so. Right before we get that final docking, it comes about 20 seconds prior, or just about 2 meters away from the station still. And that's just the crew not issuing any abort commands. At that point, it would be too late, and so any aborts would be executed automatically by Dragon itself. So we're closing in at less than 1/10 of a meter per second at this point.
The system is lined up with IDA2. It's the International Docking Adapter.
We are inside the hands-off point, the chop, the crew hands-off point, 1 meter to go. Soft capture complete.
Dragon is safe. Soft capture confirmed. Stand by for retraction and docking.
And we just heard it, soft capture. We have docking, that coming at 7:16 a.m. Pacific time, with the station and Dragon flying 262 statute miles right over the border between northern China and Mongolia.
And we'll get will get confirmation of hard capture. And the crew, of course, aboard have this information on their displays. So they'll also see indication of hard capture complete.